This is a jpeg2RAW photo review, show number 3 with A.D Wheeler and Mike Howard. And tonight we're going to go over the July photo entries for jpeg2RAW. Before we do, want to make sure that we give some credit where credit's due, and that is A.D. If you have not gone over to his webpage, theexplorographer.com, and checked it out, go do that. Follow him on Facebook. Is that the best place to follow you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Facebook is a good starting place. I mean, everything. You want the whole, like, not the stripped down version, go to my website. That's theexplorographer.com, and that's where you'll get it all.
And you can't see what I'm doing. Well, you'll see it delayed, but I am showing your webpage right now. And you have on your webpage a lot of different places that people can connect with you and follow you and all that stuff. And don't forget,
yeah, absolutely.
And don't forget to check out his store, where you have some items that you have for sale at very, very reasonable prices. So give that a check out too while you're there. And we really appreciate AD coming on and doing this for the third time. I've gotten some great feedback, AD, from some people who actually have said, can you do it more often? And since we're doing it for the photo contest, after the contest, and the contest is a monthly contest, about once a month is as much as we can do it. Plus, AD is a busy, busy guy, so we appreciate him spending the time with us. And with that, we're going to make one change tonight. And, this being the third show, we may make more changes down the road. But tonight, we're going to try and limit it to 10 photos that I picked somewhat haphazardly. The top 3 finalists were in the selection I gave AD. But we're going to limit it to about 10 photos. So if your photo is not in the review tonight, but you entered a contest, there's a chance we still may go over it. But if not, don't worry about it. We'll hopefully pick it up in a future contest. If you are looking, Willie asked this question, how do I enter a photo into the contest? And the easiest way is to go, and I'll show this here. I'll tell you what I'm doing, AD, so since you can't see it. But go in our Facebook group. And in the group, we always have pinned at the top of the group is that current running contest, and the album is linked there, and people talking in there, and you post your photo in that album in the Facebook group, and it's always at the top of the page, the Facebook group, not our Facebook page. If you don't want to join Facebook, or if you don't want to join the group or anything like that, you can also go over to our photo page, our website, jpeg2RAW.com, and in the upper left-hand corner is a link that says Photo Contest. Come down to Photo Contest Entry, and it's slowly pulling up there, and there it is. And you just fill out the form that's here and upload your photo. Super easy. Easiest way, of course, is in the Facebook group, but you have an option if you don't want to join that. So hopefully that answers any questions. If that didn't answer your question, you still got questions, feel free to email me at jpeg2RAW at what is my email? podcast@jpeg2RAW.com.
One of those days, Mike.
It has been one of those 2 weeks, not just a day. Yeah. Oh my gosh! But let's get.
Hey,
go ahead.
Before we start, can I throw a curveball?
Absolutely.
In here?
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it out there, and then you can beat me after the show if you like to. It's your choice. If everybody digs what we're doing here, a couple of things that help me out to help you guys out a little bit more. Always try to put a little blurb about what you're going for in your shot. What made you click the shutter? What made you stop and say, I want to take this? If you give me that information and maybe a little bit about your processing, because I can't see that often when I'm looking at these images, I'm kind of going in blind. Some people do leave text, and that's awesome. I can go a little bit deeper. But that gives me a little to go on. Also, keep in mind what we're doing here is these are like really fast critiques. I'm giving you the bare essentials, creative ideas, things to try. Doesn't mean your images are bad or anything like that. It's just my kind of what I do. I work at a place called the Arcanum, and Mike has talked about this when he's had me on the show. And if you guys are interested in taking it to the next level, or you like what you see here and you want more, but you want deeper and go, the whole 9 yards, please get a hold of me, and I can hook you up and I don't know. I can't make any promises, but if you are interested, get a hold of me and we'll talk a little bit about the Arcanum and what that is. And that's all I'll say about that. But this is kind of like what I do every day with my students, only we go way, way deeper. In fact, we were just talking about Acadia, and I took 5 of my students to Acadia for a week, and we shot together. And so, and that's all because of the Arcanum. So, yeah, this isn't about the Arcanum. This is jpeg2RAW for sure, but that's kind of what I do. And if you guys like it, I would love to have you in my camp for sure.
Absolutely. And
that's my day job.
and people, and we appreciate you doing this for us for free.
Dude.
So this is a wealth of knowledge here for free. And some of you are getting better at adding that stuff. AD just talked about, adding information to your shot. But we still, that's something we can still improve on. I don't know how many I didn't look at. The 10 I chose, how many did add something. That probably would have been a better way for me to select them. But I didn't do that for you. Sorry, AD.
No, it looks pretty good. It's just something I like to remind, because I'm sure we're going to get some new people, right, that get their images in there and they may not have heard about that or not or whatever. But it just to remind everybody, it would be a great help. So
yep,
awesome.
All right, so you ready to get started?
Yes, let's go.
All right, our first one up is a shot of a lady wearing a wedding dress, white wedding dress, a black and white photo with light coming in through the window, and it's I'm horrible with name, Bayardine. I'm not even gonna say your last name.
Yes, I didn't even practice.
Oh, you there?
Yep, I'm here. Are you still there?
Yeah, you kind of cut out on me.
Oh, all right. Well, I just said we would honor this person by not murdering their last name.
There you go. That's a great idea.
Right. So it's a wonderful photo, and it's very masterfully created. I love the black and white. I'm not a huge wedding shooter myself. I've done them. I did my time. And so, but this is a great shot. Very nice, kind of before the wedding, it looks like here, maybe just getting into the dress, taking a relaxing moment. The light rays coming in through the window are a nice added effect. The thing is, when you're going to do light rays, love them and hate them at the same time. When you do them, they have to be perfect. And so when were added after the fact. And the reason that I know that is they're only coming through what looks like part of the window, and the sun is universal out there. They would be coming through both windows there. So you want to make sure that when you do an effect like this, it's perfectly fine to do it. I love the creativeness behind it. And by all means, do that. But always make sure that you complete the effect so it's due to physics, it looks right. And in this case, without the beams coming through both windows, it makes me wonder, why did the sun only decide to go through one window? The other thing I would probably do here is this is like kind of in an epic crop, what I call an epic, or a 16 by 10 or 16 by 9. I think I would bring this back to more of a traditional crop. I can't really tell on my screen. It looks like there's black borders around it now that I look at really close. So I'm not sure where it's cropped, actually. Maybe it's just the way all right, hold on. I'm flipping back and forth. All right, that helps a little bit. Disregard that. I'm seeing the on the right-hand side here.
Yeah.
Mike and I don't have a feed to share this time, so I'm kind of doing this blind. But on the right-hand side, on the door casing, it kind of looks like that to me. And when I'm looking at the slides, it looks like there's this big space there, but there isn't. So that's fine. But yeah, with the light rays too, Tiffin makes a plugin called DFX4 generator. And anytime I capture light rays, if I want to enhance them and make them more visible, Tiffin has a great plugin for that creates light sourced rays from a standard 2D photo. And it's amazing what it does. I mean, it would do the windows perfectly for you and allow you to. It's a great job that you've done here, but I think that in order to make it believable, you got to take it to that next step and make sure that the physics behind it are also good. But it's a beautiful image. She is is awesome in it. I think the only thing I'm with me is the light rays. So, but no, it's a beautiful image for sure.
Yeah.
Great work.
Great work. All right, next one up is a familiar person, Gina Perry. And I think Gina added some information about her photos, if I remember right.
She did. She said that this is her granddaughter, Daisy. One weekend, my granddaughter, one weekend a month, we were playing superheroes and making wishes together. So yeah, when I saw this image, that was like, she captured that decisive moment. I think it just has that feeding down here at the bottom. I'm not sure. Does the NB? I'm not sure what that means. Is this something that
NB? Let me try and pull it up while you're talking.
Yeah, just if you can read the bottom there. I'm not sure I want to say any information that is not what we're supposed to say. So just checking. Let me chat here real quick. Just make sure if anybody has any questions while we're going. I'll put that window there. I got windows going everywhere. Hey, there we go. Hi, Janice. How are you? And it looks like Charlia is in there somewhere as well. Those are folks from the Arcanums. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking this out. I always have a good time here with Mike and all these folks who submit these great images. So, yeah, it just
I'm not sure what she said. M.B. And a lot of skin work.
So that I had was on the skin around the eyes, and she just this is some things that the little girl is going through, and I didn't really notice. I think the expression on the face, and Gina always gets the whole depth of field and everything just great.
Yeah.
Another great image from her. I like the toning here. It's a very warm tone, right? And we got the warm tone. I think it's all very inviting and wonderfully done.
I always like Gina's tone. That she always does a tone that suits me really good. I really love her tone.
Yep.
And I'm thinking NB is the initials of the girl.
Okay, great. I don't know.
That's what I'm guessing. All right. Okay. Next up is Debbie Henry. And Debbie Henry finishes out our 3 finalists. So these first 3 were our finalists in the contest.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. So this is the image of the forest?
Yep. Image of the forest with the sun rays.
So, and here I can tell you that the sun rays are genuine. And this is something that a photographer loves to go out early in the morning and get these photos. And they happen all the time. If you guys are out there and you're like, oh, I wish I could take a photo like this, get up early in the morning and take a hike. That's all I can say, because they're out there during the summer a lot. And if you live in a dry area, you're not going to see it. But if you get anywhere in the Pacific Northwest, upstate New York has this quite often. We get this nice fog. Usually Maine, but not last week. We didn't see any. We saw one day with fog, and it was in the middle of the day. But so she has a nice soft foreground here. I really like that. I'm not sure if that was added in afterwards,
or if it was just her lens. Yeah.
But yeah. So it just says an early morning walk with her best friend, her husband. That's awesome. And it just says the first time we've been back to the woods together, so very long. And the moment we crawled out of the vehicle, this is what we saw. Man, I'd like to just get out of my vehicle and just see that every time.
Stumble up on this, yeah.
I would just drive around and just hop out of the vehicle and get that shot and then leave and go get some more. But excellent processing here. What she's trying to capture here. It was a warm moment in her heart. It might have been cold that morning, but it was warm to her. And when we have moments like that, we finally get to share those moments with other people. We don't want a cold tone to the image. We don't want, we don't want to make this Night of the Living Dead or anything like that. So the warm tone shows the sun is beating down in its warmth, and it's great. I think it's wonderfully processed. I see three kind of spaces going on. I don't know if you see this, Mike, or not, but I see like the sun rays and I see a dark area.
Yeah.
And then a foreground. Is
Okay.
that make sense to you? It looks like the image is kind of.
It does. I guess I'm just so overpowered by the sun rays, and that's where my focus just keeps going back to. I see the three zones that you're talking about, but to me, it's not distracting.
I wonder. Sure, and I wonder though if a square crop here would just take it over the top without the dark. So when we have a light area, we usually balance that with a negative space, and we try to keep that tone from being too bold because we don't want negative space to steal our thunder at all here. It's a very dark part of the image over on the right is where I'm looking.
I see that. Yeah. You know,
I tend.
I think we're having some Skype issues here because I don't know if I'm breaking up for you, but every once in a while you're breaking up for me. If we have to,
you've been good.
If we have to, we can just call each other back and set that back up real quick. But for me, I think if we crop in too much, from the bottom, then that wood that's on the lower left-hand side would become too prominent. May become too prominent. What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't crop it up at all.
You just crop it from the right?
Yeah, I would probably go more with a square crop for this. But that's just here's the thought. Try different things and settle on what you like the best. Maybe she's already tried that and this is what she likes the best, and that's fine. That's just when it comes down to things, ideas to try to that I think personally would make the image stronger. I'm always trying to, and a lot of times it means eliminating extra scenes. Like if you think about this, if that piece of wood on the left side there would bother you if you cropped up, think about, what if you made this into a portrait crop and crop that wood out, crop the dark part out, and just went with the nice spindly trees with the sun. Does it become a more powerful image? So you try those things. You see which image that you just can't stop looking at, compare them side by side and see what you think. And a lot of times it's funny. I'll be doing a critique with one of my apprentices and they're like, I don't know, it's something about the crop, and they'll be like, oh, wow. Like that was it. And I'm like, sometimes that's it. You're just taking the elements that are the most powerful and you're removing all of the stuff around it and that just finally they're like, it's like a big light going on pretty much. So
let me call you back.
I love this image. So
let me call you back on Skype because I missed about a third of what you just said. Yeah,
your video is skipping around on me, like you doing the max headroom thing.
What we could also try here, I'm going to turn my video off and see but instead of calling you back, let's turn my video off. People can still, and then you'll just have to hear my voice. You all right with that?
Sure. Okay. Just getting real scary now, but yeah.
Let's see if that improves anything. All right, let's. And I like your point about taking an image and trying all kind of different things, different crops and stuff like that to see if there's a better fit. I like that. So let's move on to the next image, and this one is number 4 in the slideshow I gave you. Number 4 in the slideshow is from Daryl Harrington.
Yes.
And it is train tracks, what looks like a little train depot, and you can see the Milky Way in the background, and the sky.
Yes.
The sky.
So yes, August is let's flood the internet with Milky Way photos. I noticed because it's most prominent at that time. So you guys are out there doing it. It's awesome, but you kind of, it's one of those things, right? If you're going to do it these days, you really got to put out an image that has it all. And I think this image is great. I love the fact that he included this whole think about traveling down those tracks. I really wish, though, that Daryl would have gone at a different time when the Milky Way was landing at the end of those tracks. For me, it's split up a little bit too much right now. I'm not sure what the message is. Is it like a Harry Potter, like a magical image? Am I going to get on the train? And then if that's the fact, we've got to narrow that down to where that Milky Way is dropping right on those tracks, or at least in the gap in the hill out there, I think. So I think that those are the story elements here that he's pulled together, and he's done it in a wonderful way. Having the front of the building lit up is great, and having the Milky Way there and the train tracks all tell a wonderful story. It's just that there's just a few things that I would that would kind of compete in that crazy market out there of Milky Way images that bombard the internet, during the summer months. So those are the things I would suggest. There are some small things here to make it, if you're going for a magical image, which if you're going to include the Milky Way, what is it that we go out and we shoot the Milky Way? What is it? We have that magical feeling, right? The stars just give us that, we're very small and the world is very large, and it's a wonderful, beautiful thing to see in the sky. So it's magical. And I hate to overuse that word, but that's kind of what we're going for, I think, in this image. So if you're going for that, take the human created, get rid of the car that's down here parked in the depot, get rid of the sign that's over here on the right side. We want to make this magical. Magical doesn't mean a bunch of signs telling us what to do. It means let our imagination run wild. So a few little editing things there that would help take this image to another level. And again, shooting it at a time when the Milky Way, if you use an app like Planet or the Photographer's Ephemeris or any of those great planning apps for your phone, you can find out exactly where the Milky Way is going to be at any given time. And so you could plan it so that the Milky Way was right at the end of these tracks. And I'm just imagining that in my head and how much more powerful this image would be with that there. And so as I look at when I see Milky Way images, it's a very high bar that has been set by many photographers out there. So keep in mind, I'm not saying this is a bad image at all, but you're competing in a very strong market.
Lots of other images, yeah.
Yeah, and they're amazing.
Now,
this image is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
And looking at what he wrote here, he stitched together multiple images, let's see, to keep the building somewhat straight. Setting for each shot were 20 seconds, ISO 6400. So, looking at that, is that is that a shadow cast on the lower right hand side? Yeah. Is that by him, or what do you think that's from? That's the thing my eye keeps going to.
It could, sure, and it does me too. A watermark there, I think, words to read, which is natural for us, but also part because we have these leading lines of the tracks, and suddenly we have this shadow that leads us off the tracks. And that to me is a little disturbing. It doesn't really fit the theme here. So that was one of the edits that I was going to suggest. I had done minor edits on a lot of the photos, and we're going to look at some of those here in a little bit. But this photo I would have to take into Photoshop, and it would be a major editing job in order to remove that shadow. Now, if you were there and you were casting that shadow, the only way you can minimize that is to get down low on the ground and leave your tripod there. Let your camera cast a shadow, because that's much easier to remove than a shadow of you.
Yeah. Yep.
It could have been a steeple or a building behind there, and it can be removed. If I had a full resolution version of this photo, I could take that out of there quite successfully, and you would never know that was there. But you can't do it like in Lightroom. You really got to go into Photoshop and exercise some serious skills with warping and pulling elements out. I'd have to cut pieces of the track out and then fit them back in and all sorts of stuff to make that work. But it could be done. I've done that for images. I mean, but here's the deal. I don't think it's worth that amount of work, simply because right now there's three elements that aren't working together here. You got the building on the left, you got a train track going off into the black, and then you have the Milky Way off to the right. To me, that means that there's definite lines drawn in between the elements, and I would try to pull those together. I think the Milky Way coming over the building and dropping down at the tracks that's the story. Get a ticket, head off to the Milky Way. I mean, that's, now you've got a magical image that's
That
going to
would be
win
a great
awards.
story. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So that's what I try to do. When I'm when I'm thinking of images, especially when I'm going big like the Milky Way, because it's pretty tough to get out there on the right night with the right light and the right conditions, not get run over by a train. All the things that go with shooting a Milky Way. You got to pull all that stuff together. It's going to be like an epic image, and I think he's got a great start on that here, and should continue trying to capture the Milky Way in interesting areas and whatnot, because he definitely has a talent. He just got to pull that.
All right, let's go to the next image. This one is this is number 5 on the slideshow. This is Bev Nelson Robinson. It's a lighthouse at I guess sunrise or sunset.
Yes, I think it's sunrise. So it says here this was sunset.
Yep.
All right. Yes.
Peggy's
okay.
Cove
Nova Scotia.
Nova
That makes
Scotia.
sense.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it says that this was taken with a Canon 60D with an 18 to 270 lens, and the location was Peggy's Cove in Nova Scotia at sunset. A photographer's delight. And that's all awesome. When you guys leave me comments, though, make sure you're telling me exactly you took the shot, okay? Because the technical details I'm going to get from your EXIF data if it's there, so I can figure that stuff out. I'm more interested in, unless you have a technical question about the lens and things that you used, I think it was a good choice here. I'm not sure of the focal length here. I actually have this photo called up on Lightroom. We're going to talk a little bit about our first edit. Is that cool, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All
right.
You let me know
see if
when
I can.
You want me to flip over to have you?
Yeah,
because I have some questions about this one. Skype is
Yeah.
kind of freaking out on us tonight.
It's whacked. I don't have do I have a screen share anymore?
Let's see.
Doesn't even look like I have a screen share anymore, so maybe we can't do this.
It should be under call.
Yeah, call. All right. Oh, down there, plus button. No, that one. Call, end call. Don't end call.
Don't end call. But I can call you back. Yeah, Skype is...
Turn off video. All right, there it is. I think I found it. Share a screen. All right, you guys tell me if this works or not, or if it's going to blow up. I'm not sure.
I got you full screen and ready.
Is that that's the screen I want right there, I think. Start. You guys seeing that? Is that Lightroom that you guys are seeing?
Yep. I see something. I don't know if it's Lightroom, but I see the image from your computer.
Okay. Did it just zoom in?
Yep.
Oh, our technology. We'll get this figured out. All right. So I'm not sure if this was an HDR image or not. I'm gonna bet that it was because there's no EXIF data at the top. So I'm not sure. But so there's a few things with this image. Lighthouses, of course, in sunsets, awesome, epic time to shoot. I think a good balance here between water, rock, and lighthouse and sky. I think it's in the thirds. All that kind of stuff is good. This comes down to really post-processing. To me, it looks like it's pushed a little hard. So what happened here is that you've got these halos, as we call them. You have white halos that are appearing around the rocks. This is generally due to pulling your highlights or boosting your shadows or using clarity in Lightroom. Clarity is unless you're shooting a scene that is evenly lit, clarity is an evil slider to stay away from nowadays. I would highly suggest that you experiment with the dehaze slider over clarity right now, because they've got some issues that they need to fix with clarity, and it's been messed up for a while now.
Yeah.
Pulling your highlights back can cause problems like these dark halos that you're seeing up here at the top of the lighthouse and kind of seeing throughout here. Now, one other thing I need to mention. This is very, very important. Rule number 1 to landscapes that include water. Your horizon has to be level. Mm-hmm. Has to be. Okay. If it isn't, what happens is when we look out, we see level water, unless someone's hanging us upside down off the lighthouse, but we see level water usually. And what would happen if someone did hang us off a lighthouse somewhere? I think we'd be pretty tense at that point. Yeah. So what happens when you have an unlevel landscape horizon is it creates tension. So we want to make sure that we don't have that. This is not a tense scene. This is a very just enjoy that sunset in the summer and in the lighthouse and the scenery. So we want to make sure that we're not creating tension in the image. So make sure those horizons are dead straight. And I'm going to show you guys a little trick that I use to straighten them out. I zoom in and then slide it to the edge of my monitor. Now the edge of your monitor is perfectly straight. So you can see here that there's quite a tilt to that. Yeah. I'll just open up the adjustment on this under develop, get it over there. And what I'll do is I'll come down here and I won't use, a lot of people use the crop tool. I don't use the crop tool. That's what I would have used.
Yeah, that's what I would have used.
I come down to the transform tool and I'll turn on constrain crop. Okay. And what that does is it keeps me zoomed in. If you use the crop tool, it zooms out. And then you're like squinting or using a magnifying glass. So this keeps you zoomed in. And now you can just grab a hold of the number here with your mouse. And you don't, this is a coarse adjustment, by the way, if you grab the slider. But if you grab the number, you get a finer adjustment. And you can actually adjust this and you can see how it lines up with the edge of your monitor. And you can get it exactly perfect. And it's also grid line out as well. And that is as easy as that. So I made that little bit of an adjustment there. Now I'm going to Control Z out of that because I did some other adjustments too, and as you can see. Yeah. I'm going to step you through these real quick because this is what you should start looking for in your landscapes. You have a wonderful scene here. You probably captured brackets, so I'm sure that you have this unprocessed, so we could start completely over with it. If it's 8, I suggest you learn about 32-bit HDR, which creates a natural RAW file, and you won't have any halos or anything like that. Start with that, and then you can start your processing from there. If it's not HDR, here's a couple of things that I would do to the image. One of the things that I did was actually change that angle. I also constrained the crop, and then I changed it vertically a little bit because you're pointed up at the lighthouse. So instead of making it look ominous by changing that so that it's upright and proper and level, what that does is it takes away the having that ominous presence to the lighthouse itself. I also changed the horizontal perspective slightly a couple of times to get it right. So now your horizon is level and your lighthouse is now straight up and down, and it's doesn't have that tilt back look, which creates a I'm bigger than you kind of thing. If we were doing that ominous look, like brutal architecture or something like that, that's a different story. But for a lighthouse, this is basically what we're doing. I also added some spot removal here. I took the bird out that was over here on the right because it didn't hold the shape of a bird completely. It looked more like just a spot over there.
I kept scratching my monitor thinking I had something on my monitor.
Right. So it's a distraction. Again, minimize your composition here. Take that out. I got rid of that. I also added another spot removal over, let's see, we got rid of there. Okay, I also got rid of, let's go back one. The cloud streak, one of the cloud streaks that's here next to the
lighthouse.
The lighthouse that's kind of like dots in there.
Yeah.
I got rid of those. And also got rid of, let's go all the way up to all of them. I'll just do all of them. So there's all of the spot removals. I took out the person that was over here by this rock. They were kind of off on their own and walking away from the scene. And we don't want that in our scene because we want people to be enjoying the scene. If we're going to include people, they should have a purpose if they're going to be in my photo. So these people are chilling out, and that's cool.
And they give you some scale too.
They give you some scale. Yeah. This person over here that was by this rock was leaving. They had enough. Yeah. Well, the heck with them. They don't need to be in my photo then. And they're kind of telling the wrong story here, so we don't need them there. And then I also, let's see. Okay, so let's get into a little bit about the now I repaired the image, but you don't need to repair or whatever process you used and use some of these tips, you won't see these halos. But I went through and I fixed them. So I'm just going to take you right to the end image and then show you what I did. So here's the end image.
Yeah.
You can see that I completely took that out. Now, this was an adjustment brush. If you can see here, as I I did 3 layers of adjustment brush on this. So let's start with the first one here. I took a big brush and I kind of looked at how round this was, and I matched the brush, and then I had a little bit of fallout to it. So let me just show you what that is. So we used the adjustment brush, and then I set it down right here so that the inside of the brush was on the actual glowing part, and then it faded out gradually. And I clicked once to stamp that there so that you got the full brush effect. Then the next step was to actually turn on the brush eraser. This is a little trick I like to do. So I put it on brush erase and then auto mask. I zoomed in really close here. And then what I did is I erased the mask from the inside of the light. So that now what happens is now we only want this to affect the outside. So if you see, let's see where I did it there. Okay, so now you can see that the mask only appears outside, and it kind of matches the glow, right? That's the whole trick to this. It took me a long time to figure out the most effective way to use these adjustment tools in Lightroom, because I would go into Photoshop and I'd cut out a piece of the sky and I'd match it to it, and then I'd do all this toning work and blending and crap. And I think once you learn to use the adjustment brush and a little bit different, that it isn't just a smash, you can control it a little bit, you start finding new ways to use it. So I used that. Then I made some adjustments to the exposure. Okay, so this isn't everything that I wanted. So I did a little highlight pulling back, more exposure adjustments, some contrast adjustments. As you can see, that it's going to start changing a little bit. Then a temperature adjustment, and then another exposure to bring it back a little bit more. And then I added a brush stroke. So what I did is I added another one right over the top of this that took that all out in the center, because I saw that glow on the bottom. I didn't want glow there either. And then I added another one. And this one was just a general, very light brush over the top to kind of finish the blending. So you can see that the mask is very, if you guys can see that on Facebook, it's probably pretty hard, but it's just a general overall. And then finally, I did some erasing in some area of that actual to kind of get it to blend in where I wanted to, and then did the final exposure adjustment to finish it off and take that glow completely out of there. Now that's a repair. Okay, I think that this image, you probably don't need to repair it. I think it's you captured all the data you need to. I think it just goes into workflow and taking it down the right path and not over adjusting and all that kind of stuff. Knowing that, if you make a highlights if I make a highlights adjustments on this right now, I can make that glow come right back. And processing it, if it is HDR and 32-bit, we'll get rid of this white line that you have here that's going along too. It's a different sort of glow. And I didn't get into that because that would be tons of work to, I'd have to do everything I did up there, to do that. So if this person is doing HDR and you're interested, I do have a full playlist on YouTube on my complete HDR 32-bit workflow, and it's totally free. Just hop over my YouTube page, type in 32-bit HDR, or look in my playlist and you can find them over there. So
if you're gonna do, I don't know, like you said, I don't know if this is HDR, but if you're someone interested in HDR, that's a good thing. Go watch your videos, because it is so easy to make those halos like you just did. And if actually, I think some people don't notice it at first. When you first start getting into HDR,
they don't. Yep.
Once you see them and once you know about them, they're really really easy to see, really obvious. However, before that, you may not even know you're doing them, and then once you learn it and you go back and look at your old photos, you go, oh my gosh, how can I take these down everywhere I put them?
Right. And so the thing is too is that the best effects and plugins are ones that can't be recognized. So when you're doing HDR, the best HDR is HDR that isn't recognizable as HDR. I don't use HDR for a look. I use HDR to basically get the largest raw file with the most light data that I possibly can into one file, so then I can then zone and manipulate the photo the way I saw it, should have been seen or any of that stuff. In 32-bit HDR, natively editing a 32-bit HDR file is the only way I've found to actually be able to get that much control over every scene everywhere. No, the shadows have details, no noise in the shadows, no blown out highlights. To me, I don't use it a lot anymore because of my camera has a lot of dynamic range. But when it's I do use it and use it for that purpose only. It's never for an effect. So.
And I don't know if Bev is watching live right now, but she did just like the video, so she might have seen it.
Great.
So glad you're out there, Bev. All right, let's move on to the next photo, and this one is by it's number 6, Michael Demagol.
Yes, Michael. How you doing? I think
he's entered
Michael
before.
Around.
Yeah, he's entered before, I believe.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so he's at Lake Erie with this shot. Amazing shot at Lake Erie without it all being super nuclear green.
Well, I think you used a long shutter here.
Yeah, the algae bloom there is like insane. I don't know how bad it is this year, but it was pretty bad last year.
Yeah.
So this is at Huntington Beach, Ohio. He shot this on his D7100 with a total millimeter lens. I love that lens. It's a cool little lens. And 20 seconds exposure here at ISO 100. That's all good. F9, that's great. With an 11-stop ND filter. And I played around with an 11-stop this week too. And it was a lot of fun doing the long exposure thing. He wanted to get further out on the rocks, but it was too windy. A really great lesson there. If you can get out there with your lens, do it. If it's windy, it's not worth going out there and falling in the lake for sure.
He says that, but to me, if he went further out on the rocks, there'd be less rocks in the image. And I think just a shot of the lake and the sky wouldn't have the same impact for me.
Yeah, I think he was probably going for this. He probably wanted to go, and I'm just guessing here, for this curvature of rocks right here, just this group where it's kind of, almost looks like an old dock or something here that's been broken up, or a pier or something. I don't know.
Oh, he wanted to go more out there and get those. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably what he was looking at, is this kind of S curve of. I think it holds a lot of interest. I think it's a neat composition. For me, so I looked at this image real close. I had this one in Lightroom as well. So he's added a filter to the outside of this where the edges are blurred. And I got to be honest with you, Mike, I don't think that's needed. I think you had a beautiful image here. I love the detail in the rocks and the water and all of that stuff. I think that's kind of a lot of times when we add those little things in there, sometimes it seems like we're trying to push the viewer a little bit. And I don't really think that I don't think you need to push anybody for this image. I think it's very basic. And I think that's about long exposure is I rarely have to do much to them. Unless there's, dirt on my sensor or something like that, which there always is. You have to remove that stuff. But I think that's the beauty in long exposure, is allowing the light to draw your photo for you, which is the cool thing. You open that shutter and you just see what comes out when you're done. And I don't think that the blurriness is needed around the edge.
It looks like a vignette, a vignette with a blur. Yeah,
and I would have much rather seen this without that. I think that's kind of maybe a little bit more detail in the rock color and that sort of thing. But what I did with this image, I'm not going to show you this. I'll let Mike try this for himself. But I turned this into a black and white high contrast image, and it just totally blew up for me at that point. Not sure that all the colors are working together here. We've got these greens and then the sky blues and then, kind of the rusty stuff going on here. And then the water's kind of another 3 shades of green going on. And I just think that unless those tones are really doing something for the image, try eliminating them and see what happens when you do that. And I think you'll see that that'll be much more favorable for you. So, when we go out and we shoot, is everything, and sometimes the colors just don't work out right, and that's when we, you want to always look at your images in black and white and color, and then make that choice upon whether or not those tones are really enhancing your view here. To me, the tones are kind of like they're not really cold, so their color is not doing anything for your image. So remove it and see what happens.
Yeah, I might have to do that myself because I kind of like the colors. I'm not. Yeah, I like the rock. I like the detail I'm seeing in the rock. I'd like to see it black and white to decide whether I liked it better.
Yeah, for me, it's it really came down to I like the rock too, so which is cool. I think that's cool that we both picked that as something that we liked. But for me, the rock is the only interest for me. Once I start getting up to the sky, I don't really like the colors. I think that's the thing. So
my problem with the sky is I immediately go to the upper right hand corner in that blur.
Yeah.
So
if you're looking at the shared screen right now, I don't know if Mike can show that to you or not.
Yeah, I got it.
That's the black and white image in high contrast.
Ooh,
so you still have the detail in the rock, but now it becomes more like
that adds a real mood,
a Lord of the Rings kind of thing. Yeah, it's got a mood.
Yeah.
So for me, the color wasn't helping the mood. Now, could I tone the color one to help the mood? I absolutely could. So that's a choice that you make. If you like color and you're like, you know what, black and white's not my thing, then get on the tone and work with the tone of the sky and the tone of the rocks and pick a palette and try some different things. Topaz has a great plugin. I think you guys have a Topaz link too on your website. Topaz has an amazing plugin called Topaz Restyle, and it is awesome. It goes through and there's a whole section dedicated to seascapes, and it retones and repalettes your entire photo to a complemented color palette. So, and if I'm always stuck on color and I can't get the tone and it isn't working for me, I always jump in there and just start riddling through presets until I see something that goes, oh yeah, that's what I'm interested in. And then I'll go and tweak it and get it exactly the way I want. But it's, it's one of those things that, helps the creativity kind of get going. So definitely check that out.
You know what else this edit does for me? Is that upper right-hand corner of the clouds is less of an issue for me now.
Yeah. Because you're not being drawn up there as much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Well, thanks for showing me the black and white one there. That's good. All right, you ready to move on to the next one?
Sure, man.
This one is from Millen. He has entered. I know he's entered probably everyone since we've been doing this. But this is Millen. I'm not going to say your last name, so I won't butcher it. And it looks like some kind of field with storm clouds coming in on the right-hand side, and maybe the sun peeking through on the left-hand side, and then a trail going right down the middle.
Yeah. So it's Milan Vaskov Miladinov.
Okay.
He can jump in chat and tell me I'm completely off on that one, but yeah. So the information that he's posted, he's titled this, which is cool. I'm one of the few people I actually like to title my photos, and he calls this "Alone in the Field." Gives me an idea of what he was going for. Alone in the field. Here, right? That's kind of what we're looking at. It says that this was 12. It is a 12 vertical panorama processed with Lightroom. It was shot on a Nikon D3200, 1/15 of a second exposure at f11, ISO 100. All that stuff is great. And in case you guys are wondering, like this landscape where he's basically trying to capture all of the focus here, f11 is going to do that for you. If he was shooting, say, f4 or f 3. The foreground may not be in focus, or the background might not be in focus. You're going to not have that big depth of focus that he has with f11. And it says that the photo was taken in a small village, and I'm not going to even say that word because I have no idea what that is, but it's in Bulgaria. So there you go.
Small village in Bulgaria.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, Millen, for all of that information. I had a chance to get a couple of storm shots this year while on the road, and it is something that the passion or the disease or whatever you want to call it has stricken me to chase these things around. And this is a beautiful storm that looks like it's passed. So I'm getting that from the image. And the reason why I get that the storm is passed, the wind is blowing from left to right, as you can see with the tall grass, and that means that the clouds are probably moving from left to right. So, and it just has a very positive feel to the image. The only thing that I saw in the image that kind of didn't work for me was the dark bush that's right at the end of the road. I would love to see him remove that and do a little editing there and just make it a path off into this beautiful unknown, because it's right between the storm and right between the calm after the storm. And so he's got that road going right into the middle of that, sort of a very balanced photo here, and well executed. So a little bitty, teeny tiny edit there, and you've got yourself an award-winning photo for sure. And I think that's, the processing and everything here is just grand. The wide crop with the horizon being slightly below the third just gives it a very epic, very very powerful, but it's moving on. I think that's a really cool message. So, if that's what he was going for, it definitely nailed it for sure.
Yeah, I like this image too, and
Yep.
I like that he, like you mentioned, I like that he named it. It does. That is some of the details that you need when people are submitting. You don't have to name your photo, but give some information about the photo other than just the technical specs, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The technical specs are great, and that gives me a starting point. But a technical answer only, and not, I can't lend creativity to you when I don't know what you're going for. So that's the whole idea behind that. And my goal is, I can teach technical stuff all day, but I like to open people's minds more about the creative side of it, and get them experimenting a little bit. And that's when the true artist and photographer will come out, I think.
Yep. And if you're the first time watching this, AD is the pro. I am the someday novice or someday amateur. So if I say something that's stupid, just write that off for that. I do like in this image. I do like the fact that the balance on the left-hand side with the sun, the amount he's showing. I like that it's not more. I don't want to see like a big glowing sun over there.
Right.
So I like that it's just starting to come through. Where most of the scene is more of dark, but you can see the light starting to peek through.
Yeah, it's very dramatic and very telling. Yeah. And I think that's the thing here. Maybe he didn't even know that when he took it. He just went, "This is pretty. I want to take an image." But it is very telling with the road. And, because for me, it's the road has to have purpose here going forward. If there's a big storm out there and it was only completely different, that means, wow, you got to have a lot of gut towards that thing, sort of thing. But this is more like a life choice. Like, it's walking down that road and seeing that the sun is coming out and things are changing. I think that's a good message for the photo. So,
okay, let's move on to the next one, which is by Ron. I'm gonna not say your name either because I will mess him up. But first name Ron, I can say that.
Gotcha.
And it is a water. It's a number 8 and on the list here. These are not in order of how we like them. It's just number 8.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Right.
But this looks like a mill, a water mill, an old water mill.
It's a very famous mill.
Oh, yeah, because he says what it is there. And I'm guessing this is definitely HDR.
I don't know. So we'll talk about that a little bit. This is one I did some processing for Ron on. I'm very familiar with this site. This is pretty much the most photographed mill on the Blue Ridge Parkway. There's a restaurant right behind where he's shooting this. And there's a cool little village, a little colonial style Adirondack kind of village up on the hill there behind that you can't really see. But it's a very iconic shot. And I just wanted to mention too, when we're talking about Milky Way, it goes for anything like this. It's a very iconic site. It's been millions of times. And in the autumn, if you can only imagine what this looks like in the autumn, that's what you got to compete with. So he did some good things here. I want to talk about position is good. It's a real popular place. This is over the fence and right next to the pond to shoot it. It's perfectly fine to stand there and shoot it, but most people walk up to the fence and they shoot it from the fence, and it's a more of a kind of sideways view of it, where this gives you a good sense of the water track and everything coming down with the nice foreground of the pond. He's got good light going on in the back. This was late in the day, which is beautiful. And he caught the water wheel, it looks like, when there was water coming over it, although the water wheel's not moving. So I'm not sure if there was just water pouring over it, because it does that once in a while. But so there's some stuff going on here that I'm not really sure of. If the water's coming over here, he's got to be shooting at about, it says 1/25th, but the water's awful soft for 1/25th. Generally, when we want to get soft water, like in a waterfall, we shoot for 1/8 of a second. That's where that magic starts to happen. So it's HDR, so I'm sure there was some of that going on. But the water wheel looks like it's frozen, yet the water is coming over it. So for me, I'd like to see a little motion in the wheel there. Sometimes, what does that mean? Sometimes that means that we take an extra frame after we've shot our brackets, because this is HDR. After we've shot our brackets, we take one more, and what we do is we try to expose for proper exposure, but for the longest kind of exposure we can get, so we can get motion in that wheel, and then we'll edit that in. We'll mask that part in, so the wheel moves.
And this wheel does turn.
Frozen here is, yes, it does. Yep. Okay. And so that's what I want to mention. Good on him for having the patience to be here when it's actually moving, because it doesn't move every day. They don't use it a lot. They don't run it every day, and they don't run it a lot. So he was there on a day that it was actually spinning, and that's awesome to actually get there and do it. But I'd like to see that motion a little bit, because that's kind of a special event. Yeah. I did some editing on this. I'll just call up that screen really quick. I have it here in the background because this is simple stuff that I wanted to share with you guys. And this is all done in Lightroom again. So, Mike, you let me know when that's up there.
I got it up.
Okay, great. All right. So here in Lightroom, essentially, I just did some basic edits. Get this to show me some. There
we go.
All right. So the very first thing was white balance. So we have an image here that's backlit by late day sun, which we know late day sun is golden. We get that nice golden look to it. So we have this golden look to the trees in the back, but our shadows have turned purple and blue. And this is what happens with HDR a lot, is because the vibrance goes up when we start stacking those images, and we end up with a white balance imbalance. So we have our shadows that are lighting up blue, and when we have our highlights, which are lighting up this beautiful golden color. So you want to make sure that you do the proper white balance changes to kind of accentuate that. So what I did was I just used the auto white balance here, which corrected that for me and brought the yellows up a little bit more. Because it's a a down home kind of thing, old fashioned, and it's late in the day. So bringing the yellows up a little bit and kind of getting that out of the shadows, out of the blue, out of the shadows, I thought was important here to not be showing that. I also
did you just do an auto white balance there?
That's all I did.
Wow.
Yep. Now I did before that edit, I actually did some custom white balances on it, and I also do the auto, and I compare and see what I liked better, and the auto worked just fine, so I just went with it. I also turned up the dehaze here a little bit to kind of give us a little bit more definition to the image. It was a little soft. I did some spot removal down here in the corner, and I took this corner of that was in here of the grass. Now, this is the difference between it being there and it not being there. So when it's there, we have a high contrast corner that draws our eye to that corner. Because anytime we have a triangle in a corner that's high contrast, our eye will go to it. Whether it's at the beginning of the image or something, it will always sway us to that direction. So I would highly suggest removing that little piece of grass out of there. That's not the best edit, by the way, in the world, but it was just to show how it looks better without it being there. Your eye doesn't draw over there. I also did some, let's see, a little bit of vibrance control. So I pulled the vibrance back because anytime you use dehaze, it tends to make the blues bluer.
This is already looking so much better. Wow.
So you can around the fence area that the blues that were there are now gone. So let's do a before and after. Here's a before.
Yeah.
Okay. See how blue everything is?
Yep.
Blue is cold. This isn't a cold image. This is a warm image of this beautiful mill. So here's back to a more balanced, warm tone to it, more natural. Then I did an overall temperature change to warm it up just a little bit more and a little bit of an exposure drop. And that's all there was to it, just to kind of get it in the zone. The final thing that I want to add here is that I probably would take out this little thing right here, because it doesn't really go with the fence. It's a little sign that tells you don't jump this fence. That's what it says on it. And the other thing that I thought is that where he was standing, if he moved 1 foot to the right, then we wouldn't have ended.
Yeah. With that tree branch, bush.
The middle of your, yeah. It would have been over here if you would have moved just to the right a little bit. And I think that would have kind of finished it off. But overall, it's a wonderful capture. It's a tough place to capture because it's been done. If you go on to Google and you type in Mabry Mill, Mabry space mill, it'll blow you away. I mean, they have captured it in every light, at every time of the year, when it's snowing, when it's, autumn, all this sort of stuff. So definitely check it out. But those are just some little things I wanted to share with you guys that you can do to your images, and just be thinking about those tones. That's the main thing is that it needed to be warmed up just a little bit. I think that's the gist of the whole idea there. All the rest is kind of fluff.
Well, you had a number of things there that I liked. One, let me go back to maybe the original image here, is the overall thing you did. But one of the little things is getting rid of that grass in the lower left-hand corner, that little bit of a hill. That was a big thing for me. But he had a good base image. Maybe I didn't even realize the potential that image had until you did that. Very good. Yeah,
and you could take it even further. I mean, there's a bunch of different things with plugins and all that kind of stuff. I try to keep what we're doing here very simple.
Sure.
We're not going that deep or that far, but there are plugins from On1 and Topaz and everything that would enhance the image and do other things to it to make it pop a little bit more. But in the space of the context of time that we have, that we can't really.
Sure.
Go into all of that, but yeah.
All right. Next up is, I believe this is a fisheye shot, number 9 from Michael K. Fairbanks. And he says, I shot this at the Cabrillo National Monument in San Diego. Yep.
Yes, this is on the
8mm
8mm. Yeah. That's a cool lens. I used to have that lens, and I had a lot of fun with it. And you can do some crazy things with it. And this is one of those things. Putting the lighthouse at the top of the world. I mean, that's what it looks like to me when I look at the tiny planets. Right. That's what comes to mind.
I picked this image. And AD, I picked this image because I think this is the first time we've ever done a fisheye on the show.
Oh. Cool.
Of the 3 we've done, this is the first fisheye.
So yeah, I mean, you could correct this image and flatten it all out, but where's the fun in that? The whole idea, I think, when I take my fisheye out, is I love just seeing the world through that weird, distorted. And I think for this image, using the fisheye like this, the way that he has, I think this works very, very well. It gives you that sense of that's the light at the top of the world. I think that's very cool. I think I would remove some of the detritus to the right There's a couple of towers there. I'd get rid of those. I'd get rid of, I'm not sure what it is. I don't have a big version of this, I don't think. Let me just look at this here. So like there's a radio tower to the right. Right. There's an overlook to the right and all that kind of stuff. I think if I'm making like a real surreal picture, which, the lighthouse at the top of the world, I think I'd take that stuff out of there. And the only other edit that I would make is if you look over here on the left where those trees are at, the ground tends to dip down there a little bit. And it kind of, I don't know, it takes away from the perfectly round horizon that he has going right up till that point. So I would probably put this in like Photoshop. I'd grab the liquefy tool. I'd make a fairly large brush right here, and I just move it up ever so slightly so that it makes that nice round edge all the way around and completes the effect. I know the ground wasn't like that there, but anybody who looks at a fisheye image is going to expect it to be. And I think that just lopsides the image with it being there like that.
Okay. And that's over on the left-hand side, right? You're talking about?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that this will not work, but we'll try it anyway.
And in those images like this, you also have to be very careful that the lighthouse is dead center and yeah.
Yeah, and I think he nailed all of that. I don't really think that that was a thing. I think we're good. So the color will be off here because I actually edit in Pro Photo, and this is sRGB. So just pay no attention to the color of this, but it's more about the technique. But you can see right here. Are you seeing that? All right.
I am. Yep.
Okay, cool. So right here, it kind of dips down a little bit. So we have this nice round image, and I know the background back here, it's still, but the line that you see is really this dark, the dark rocks and stuff. That's what really makes your line. So I would highly suggest the filter and then liquefy, and then it'll go off to another screen that you guys can't see, and I feel really silly.
I got it now. Had it.
Yeah, you had it. Hold on, I got to get it to a screen that everybody can see. So there we go. Yeah. I'm going from a giant curved monitor down at the bottom to a little teeny tiny monitor up top. So, all right. You know how that is, right, Mike?
I don't have a curved monitor.
Got 1,000. You've got thousands of monitors over there. I've seen them.
I do have thousands of monitors, but I don't have a curved one yet. That sounds awesome.
All right. So all I did is you bring it into liquefy under filters, and here's the edge then.
Yep.
I'm going to make a giant brush here that spans that little dipped area. I'm going to click and hold and just go boom like that. That's all there is to it. Took that much. But then this completes the curve. And now it doesn't have that looks like a sinkhole on that one side. It's a nice round edge all the way around. And and then when you get in there, you can take this stuff out by using the clone brushes or whatever. That was what I was talking about earlier. As good as it is nowadays, and this is a very low res image that I have here, by the way, but you can always use your content aware fill. That'll go in like that, and boom, that's gone. And I would take out this one over here and that one. Yeah, it's amazing. But see, it's really about that lighthouse, right? And how it's on top of the world. So why have
a little distraction?
All this other, this stuff makes us want to go. What makes me want to zoom in, and why do I want to do that? Because to enjoy the photo, it needs to be like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it needs to be big, right? So that's all I do. I think it's a fantastically fun image, and it's a great way to use a fisheye. If you guys don't have one, they're so inexpensive. Rokinon, Tokina. There's several companies that make fairly inexpensive manual focusing fisheye lenses, 15, 14, 12 millimeter, 8 millimeter, that go on just about any camera. And they are so much fun when you're just over trying to get a shot. You just slap that thing on there. And not to mention they're great for Milky Way shots too, because they allow you to get a lot of the sky. And most of them are f2.8, which is incredible. So
I do not own a fisheye lens.
Oh, they're so.
I need to get one. All right, our last image that we have up is in the 10 that we're doing this time is from, I think this is his first entry. It's from Ralph Jensen. He's in northern Norway, shot with a Sony, and this is a clear evening sky, sun hidden over the bridge.
Yeah. So this is kind of so there's I have a guy that was an apprentice of mine who shot this stuff a lot. His name is Chris Kalmbach, and he's exceptionally good at it. So I got a lot of practice working with his images and seeing some incredible stuff. And I think this image has potential, but I'm not sure. Well, a couple of things make it hard for me to make a comment here. One is I don't know if there's any space to his left, but he should have moved more to his left a little bit in this image just to put the sun completely behind that bridge and not give us a big blown out thing in the water. Because the blown out part in the water, just I can't stop looking at it. It's like right there. And you have wonderful elements here. You've got the brutal architecture of the bridge, the shadow, which is great, the rocks, which are nice for a foreground, and a beautiful like landscape out there. But it's that I keep going back to this white blown out part in the photo to the left. And I think moving the bridge more closer to the third makes it more prominent, makes it more of a bigger part. So if he would have moved to the left, don't jump in the river, but if you move to the left a little bit, I think you could have brought that bridge over and hidden and this image would have been a keeper real strong at that point. But for me, it's that all I can see is this giant of the water, and it's very distracting to me on an otherwise beautiful image.
And I don't know where the sun is going, left or right or up and down here.
Yeah,
you could have also shot a little bit sooner or a little bit later. That would have placed the sun a little. If you couldn't go further, like you were suggesting, AD, if you couldn't physically move anymore,
right.
Which I don't know. Like you said, I don't know what's to his left. But if you couldn't physically move, then you could use time to move that sun.
Yeah, and so the thing is if the sun is moving to the right, that means the shadow moves to the left, which means that would be, you're still going to have more sun. Moving to the left, though, that means the shadow moves to the right and hides his rocks. So his timing, I'm not sure how much he could change that to keep his the way it currently is. But definitely, if he was shooting right at this time, if he knows what time he shot there and he wants to go back and do it again, by moving to the left, he would be able to bury that sun and still keep everything lit the same way and keep the shadow in the same spot. Because I would be afraid that shadow would to move over. Now, is the shadow? Did he generate the shadow? He might have generated the shadow. It looks a little, I'm not sure. Can't tell. I just know that the sun is like.
Yeah, that big bright spot is fairly distracting. Yeah.
Yep. Other than that, it's a beautiful image. Well, great tone to this. The black and white. I'm so jealous because it's like my EverQuest is to learn how to tone black and white. Halfway decent. So.
I love the tone of this black and white. This lighter feel of black and white. Yeah.
Yep.
I love that.
Very silvery. Yep. Very famous look, and that's that. He's right on with that. I think this is just a case of composition wise, just moving a little bit to the left, and winner chicken dinner.
Well, AD, that is our 10 for this week. Unless you have one you wanted to particularly go over, that we're actually past the hour. So again, this is the 10 of the images that were entered into the July jpeg2RAW photo contest. And I showed it. I'm going to show you just something real quick here. You might not be able to see it, AD.
I can't see anything. I see an ugly picture of me down in the corner.
I will tell you what I'm going to show people so that you can pretend you see what I'm going to show. And as I'm just showing the entry page on the jpeg2RAW Facebook group, where this is all the images, some more of the images that were submitted. Some other really good ones. If your photo wasn't included in the 10, next enter the August contest and you have another chance to be entered in that. And even if your photo wasn't in the 10, you learn something by watching and listening to AD talk about the ones that were entered. I mentioned at the beginning of the show, but I'll say it again. Easy to enter. Join our Facebook group. The current month's contest is always posted at the top of the of the page there, and it's real easy. It's facebook.com/groups/jpeg2RAW. And then if you don't want to be a Facebook member or join the group, you can always do it through our website, which is jpeg2raw.com. Then you go over to photo contest and then photo contest entry, and then there it is. So 2 ways to enter. We'd love to have you in the group. The group is getting close to 1,800 people in it and fairly active. So we'd love to have you come over there. Now we have 3 shows in the book. I am going to actually put this out as an iTunes feed also. So you could already get it live as you're watching now. You can get it on YouTube that way after the show. I'll edit it and put it out there. But I'm also going to make it where you can get it on iTunes. So if you want to subscribe to it, you can do it that way. Then, of course, you could always use, let's see if I can pull it up here in a short amount of time, the jpeg2RAW. You can't see it, but I'm showing the app on my Android phone, the jpeg2RAW app. Just look in the iTunes Store or the Android Play Store and you search for jpeg2RAW and you'll see our app. And you'll be able to get all that stuff. Then don't forget to drop over to AD's website and follow him on Facebook and check out what he has over there. You post a lot of your photos when you go on trips like you did this past week on Facebook, right, AD?
Yeah, I do. Everything really branches nowadays from the stories that I write on my blog, though. So if you go to the blog, you subscribe to my blog. There's a little button there. You only when I write a new story. I don't spam anybody. I don't do, unless I'm giving something away, which, who doesn't want an email then? But normally that's where I tell everybody you can connect with me if you don't like Facebook or you don't like Google Plus or you don't like Tumblr or Instagram or whatever it is, whatever floats your boat, I'm on all of them. So you can reach out to me and I pay attention to all of them. I'm easily accessible, so you can get. Start at my website, theexplorographer.com. And Mike, you should have a link somewhere. We forget to tell everybody this every week, and it upsets me. I don't say something about this. You have an affiliate link at my store, right?
I do have an affiliate link.
That's what you need to share with these videos so that folks use that. If they want to buy something from my store, that we take care of Mike because Mike's awesome, and we want to support jpeg2RAW. So make sure that, if there's something that interests you and find his link and use that link. Please do that.
And I'm showing it's on the bottom of it's actually on the bottom of every page in our website. This link that I'm showing right here, which is the Photo Tools web store. You click that, you'll go right to it. But I also will post it on our Facebook page to go out there and do that. So if you don't win tonight, we're gonna pick somebody here in just a second. If you don't win tonight, then that is use that link and go out there and buy something from AD store. All right, speaking of that, let's now pick someone who is going to be the winner this month. One thing I should probably do in the future as we do more of these is keep track of who's won in the past.
Yes. So I have a favorite. Do you want to just see if our favorites line up? Or do you just
I have a favorite too, and I will say. You want me to go first and say who it is? My favorite is, or do you want to say yours?
No, you go ahead. You go first.
And I've picked the last two, so I think if we don't line up, we go with yours.
Well, whatever.
My favorite is Millen.
That was I was torn. And I'm going to tell you the two that I'm battling with. It was Debbie's image.
Debbie Henry, yep.
And Millen's. Yep. And the thing is I love the story behind Debbie's, but without her filling me in, I wouldn't have even thought that. I would have thought that this was someplace out in the forest, someplace that they hiked to, and wasn't really sure. So mine was the same. It was Millen's one out.
Oh, so Millen's one out for you, which is the field.
Too, yeah. And it was just because the story was just extremely strong.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Congratulations, Millen.
Cool.
You won. Hey, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
We picked the same person, and we didn't even coordinate that.
That's right. It's all by feel, man. All by feel.
Yeah. All right, Millen, I'll reach out to you. And we'll do this again sometime in September. And I have a note on my calendar, AD, that September is a time for you and me to start talking about the December photo contest. December is the time of the year where jpeg2RAW does our annual photo contest. We give away more stuff. I bought it last night actually, AD, a 12-month subscription to the Adobe photographer plan. So that's one of the things I'm going to give away and during the contest. jpeg2RAW bought that last night, and I have physical cards, so it should be here in a few days, and then I'll mail it out to whoever won. Yeah.
Very nice. I'm going to pull some resources too, because I think I gave away like the ultimate package, which was all of my stuff in the Photo Tools store, but I think I might have another surprise for you. So
awesome.
We'll see what happens there.
And I do see one comment out in chat that they say, "Love your shirt."
Yeah, well, the girl who said that was with me when I bought it. So
okay.
She's cheating.
She's cheating. Yep. All right, guys, out in chat, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you guys for coming, and be sure to join the contest. That's and watch us next month. Good night.